Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Mike's DVDs and Blu-rays. Today I'm going to do a kind of Father's Day kind of thing. Growing up, I got to see a lot of good movies with my dad. Generally on the weekend, during the afternoons, there'd be stuff on TV. We're talking about 83, 82, 84, which kind of planted the seed of me and my kind of movie loving. So I'm going to kind of show you some of the movies I watched with my dad, and I got to see a lot of cool stuff. And my grandpa was a big influence. Going to his house, he always had, one of the old movie channels on or something. So I discovered a lot of older classic movies that way also, which kind of plugged me in to this. So let's get right to it. And the first video I'm going to show is the Indiana Jones Complete Adventures. I remember watching Raiders of the Lost Ark. We rented it on beta cassette, VHS beta. Well, we had beta. Don't know. He picked it. Had beta. We rented this. Raiders of the Lost Ark was awesome. It was just awesome to a little kid to see that. I mean, I remember the scene where they get into the fight and the snakes, and right before the airplane and gas and explosion. That scene. I mean, it was cool. It was just cool, and it really painted a picture. This is the Indiana Jones Complete Adventures on Blu-ray. This came out a few years ago. This has everything on here. Trying to think if it has the newest one on here. I haven't watched this in many years. Let's see. It's got up to the crystal skull. So yeah, there you go. So there you go. And this is a pretty nice set. Next up, we watched a lot of war movies over the years. Just different stuff, and I remember watching Patton, the scene at the beginning where he's standing on the American flag and it's huge. It takes up the whole screen. I watched different parts of it. I remember this when I was really little. I didn't sit and watch the whole thing, but I remember a lot of scenes from this, and this was on TV a lot, I remember, as a kid. So there you go, 1970s Patton, George C. Scott. Excellent job. He won an Oscar for that role. And next up, we have a horror movie, An American Werewolf in London. This was probably one of the most goriest horror movies I ever watched as a little kid. I mean, early 80s. This came out in 1981. Just kind of blew my mind. It was just watching him transform into a werewolf was just awesome to a little kid. Yeah, my parents let me watch a lot of stuff like that, within reason. So I wasn't scared. I was just fascinated at the art of that happening. I knew it wasn't really happening, but I just knew the makeup and stuff that went into that. It was already putting the stuff in my head, the behind the scenes, how it's made, all that stuff. So most definitely something that we watched was Planet of the Apes. I remember watching Escape from the Planet of Apes, the third one, a lot, Beneath, and I remember watching those. Those were on TV a lot, and of course Planet of the Apes, the first one. Just one of those movies I love. It's just one of those movies you can always watch if it's on, So, and this is a good Blu-ray collection. You can get this dirt cheap. It's available at a lot of places, or it used to be. But I got it for under $10. It was probably $5. I mean, you can't beat it. It's full of special features on each movie and stuff, so it's really nice. Plus, it's got some cool artwork there. Next up, my dad was really into cars, so if there was a movie about cars or something, we would watch it. So, American Graffiti, great movie. There's a lot of hot rods, a lot of classic cars. George Lucas. Got a lot of people in here. Richard Dreyfuss, Harrison Ford, Opie, Ron Howard. Really good movie. It's got a lot of cars. Really sets a mood, and it sets a time, a place in time. Like you really kind of are in, back then, and it really paints a good picture. So pretty cool, And then he made Star Wars. So yeah. So thank you, George Lucas. Next up, Clash of the Titans. This thing rocked when I was a little kid. Me and my dad would watch this all the time. What can I say? Ray Harryhausen's, it's his masterwork. I mean, he's got all these creatures. Fascinating movie still. It's aged well. The remake, whatever. I hated it. This is it right here. The original. Next up, another war movie that we watched a lot, The Dirty Dozen. I mean, this movie is great. Dirty Dozen, 1967. MGM, Lee Marvin, Charles Bronson, and Ernest Borgnine. Got Jim Brown up in there. John Cassavetes. Got old Dirty Telly Savalas, dirty old man in that movie. Robert Ryan, Ralph Meeker. Robert Aldrich directed this. Great director. He made Emperor of the North. God, he's made a lot of cool movies. But yeah, man, this is a great movie. It's got a lot of people in here. I mean, it's really good. And this is a Blu-ray, and it's you can get this for nothing. Pretty much these days. If you can find it, it's usually pretty cheap. Next up, The Road Warrior. I've had a few movies from 1981, which was, I guess, made a real impression on me then, because, I was at that age where movies were cool. I'm 44, so I would have been probably 6 or 7 and watching some of these movies when I watched them. But, I was probably, 5, 6 years old when these came out. But back then, the movie wouldn't come out right away. You would have to wait almost like 2 years before it would come out on VHS or Beta, and you would see it. So I remember that with the second Indiana Jones movie. It's like it came out I don't know. It's like it came out. You had to wait forever. It seemed like at least. And again, we got some more Ray Harryhausen here. These Sinbad movies. Most definitely remember watching these things Saturday afternoon, watching movies. Dad was off. We would watch these things all day. The creatures. I mean, you can't beat it, man. It's just Ray Harryhausen was a genius. He was just awesome. And then got these and Clash of the Titans. Super cool, super duper cool. Next up, Laurel and Hardy. Watching these at my grandpa's house. I would have them record them off AMC channel when they would have the Laurel and Hardy marathon and stuff. So I would Grandpa, can you tape? Here's some blank tapes. Just tape them for me, because we didn't have AMC on our cable where we lived in our town. So it was I was always having him tape stuff off AMC. The horror movies when they had Universal stuff, Frankenstein and Dracula and all those. But Laurel and Hardy, this is Laurel and Hardy Essential Collection. It's got everything on here pretty much. Hal Roach years, except for their silent stuff. It's got a lot of all their shorts and stuff from the 30s. Excellent set. There's also a big set out there that has all those and the silent sets. And what can I say? James Bond. I loved this movie as a kid, Moonraker. I thought Roger Moore was the first James Bond to me, because I would always see him as James Bond. And Moonraker, and it had Jaws in it, the guy with the metal teeth. which his name was Richard Kiel. Really cool actor, really tall. But I thought I would include some of the variations of James Bond. I know my dad's still into James Bond. He really likes the new guy too, so I put Casino Royale in there. It's a really good modern day James Bond. Of course, you can't leave out Sean Connery, Dr. No. He's a huge James Bond fan. We watch these things. I know him by heart. Love him. Great. Next up, we got some movies by Humphrey Bogart. Dad, to this day, Humphrey Bogart's on TCM, watches a movie, tells me about it. It's like, yeah, I know, Dad. You know, he always tells me about it and stuff, which is cool. But, you know, you can't beat the Maltese Falcon. I mean, if you want to know Humphrey Bogart at his best, you gotta get John Huston's 1941 film noir crime detective flick, The Maltese Falcon, where he plays Sam Spade trying to find that little blackbird. Got a great supporting cast: Peter Lorre, Sidney Greenstreet, Mary Astor. Really good. Next up, one of my personal favorite movies of all time. This it's hard to pick a Humphrey Bogart movie, but Treasure of the Sierra Madre is definitely my favorite. Another John Huston teaming. Great supporting cast. Walter Huston, his father, was in this, and Tim Holt, who did some B westerns over at RKO. Next up, we have Casablanca. This is probably an all-time dad movie. It's got that romantic edge to it, but it's definitely a great movie. Anyways, you know, for my dad. And so you can't beat Casablanca. It's a great movie. Humphrey Bogart, Claude Rains, the lovely Ingrid Bergman. Some say it's the best Hollywood movie ever made. Citizen Kane, also the best movie ever made. So these two usually go up head to head with Citizen Kane, so it's hard to pick between the two. So, but if you've never seen Casablanca, you got to go see it. I mean, you got to. Next up, we got The Big Sleep in Key Largo. A couple of my dad's favorites. A couple of my favorites. I really love The Big Sleep. It's got the two different versions on here of Big Sleep. Key Largo is really good. Edgar G. Robinson shows up in there. Really good. Next up, got one movie here, The Wages of Fear. Yes, this was made by the French director Henry Georges Clouzot. Totally tore that up. But this was a foreign movie. I had actually, Grandpa taped it off AMC. They showed it, and when I watched it at home, my dad was into it. So maybe it was the first foreign language movie he ever really watched. I don't know, but he was into it, and I'm into it. It's a very, very, very good movie. The Wages of Fear. It was remade in 1977 with Roy Scheider as Sorcerer. So yeah, both of those are great movies. So Wages of Fear, Criterion Bluray. And next up, we got some sci-fi stuff. The Blob with Steve McQueen. I think Dad actually went to the movies and saw The Blob when it came out in 1958. I think he was a kid and he watched it. But yeah, you can't beat The Blob. This is a great Blu-ray edition. Kind of great early color, color process. I believe it's Technicolor. It might not be Technicolor. 1958. So great movie, a lot of fun. Steve McQueen's great in it. Them. Sci-fi classic, Them. I believe this is 1953, 54. It's not widescreen, but it's a great sci-fi movie. Giant ants are terrorizing this desert town, just eating people. It's awesome. It's great. I love this movie. And usually if this is on, Dad will say, hey, that movie's on with those ants. But, it's called Them, and it's a great movie. Next up, modern day classic. This is the Criterion Collection DVD of RoboCop. And this was a great movie. I remember he really dug RoboCop. We watched this as a kid. Paul Verhoeven's 1987 classic RoboCop, and thought this was pretty cool. This was released on Laserdisc also by Criterion Collection. This is the early DVD release. I believe this was 1, 2, something like that. They released this. Moving right along, The Blues Brothers. This is a great dad flick. The Blues Brothers. My dad and mom had Blues Brothers records. I would listen to them and stuff. The movie, I just love this movie. It's great. It's a comedy masterpiece. It's like comedy, but then it's like action, and it's drama to it. It's a perfect blend of everything. Plus, it's hilarious. John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd. So plus the edges are kind of chewed a little bit. It's for my son when he was teething. He would take them off the shelf and he would gnaw on them a little bit. So that's cool. Always will keep this, which has his thing on there. So yeah. Coming right up, we got a movie by Steve McQueen. One of the ultimate dad flicks, car flicks. 1968's Bullet. Phenomenal. Steve McQueen is the essence of cool. Sometimes I think I'm Steve McQueen. We named my dog Steve McQueen as his middle name. So if you haven't seen Bullet, something's wrong with you. Go check it out. It's great. Peter Yates, 1968. Got the Mustang fastbacks flying around San Francisco streets. You gotta see it. Next up, I got two versions here of The Great Escape. This is the earlier Blu-ray version. It's been out for a while. And this is the restored version of The Great Escape, which just came out recently. This has a all new picture. It's been cleaned up. They restored it, took some of the scratches and dirt and cleaned it up and remastered it to 4K standard. So it's an awesome movie. I watched this the other day and it holds up really well. And yeah, it's a dad movie. It's a dad movie. And rounding out this thing, I got The Magnificent Seven. Steve McQueen in this. I love this movie. Elmer Bernstein's score in this and in The Great Escape. Awesome. Elmer Bernstein. He's not always talked about, but he is one of the greatest composers of movie music. And you'll probably recognize this if you're not sure. The soundtrack to The Magnificent Seven's awesome. It's a great rousing score. But The Magnificent Seven came out in 1960. More or less, it's a remake of The Seven Samurai, the Akira Kurosawa movie from 1954. And they do a good job. They kind of change it around and stuff, but it stands on its own. I think they did a remake of it, and it was okay, but you just can't beat the flavor, man. The flavor and the atmosphere and the acting of these guys in here. You got all these future acting stars. You got Yul Brynner and Eli Wallach, Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson. Yeah, Charles Bronson, Robert Vaughn, James Coburn. Great. John Sturges directed this also and The Great Escape. So they teamed up 1960, 1963, and Steve McQueen, Elmer Bernstein, and John Sturges made two great pictures in the span of a couple years. And this I'm just showing because it's pretty cool. I was watching Grayscape the other day, and I got out my early Criterion Laserdisc of the Great Escape. This came out in 1991, and it's great. The Great Escape. So I just got it out for craps and giggles, just to look at it and stuff, and kind of spin it and see the picture differences and stuff. So yeah, it's excellent movie. I mean, The Great Escape may be the greatest dad movie to me. Planet of the Apes, Great Escape, anything with Humphrey Bogart in it, that kind of describes a dad movie. Early sci-fi, most war pictures. But basically, I'm just saying this is kind of a tribute to all dads out there. Dad's gone, dad's here, dad's to be. It's just dedicated to fathers. I mean, more or less, one day you just gravitate towards some of these movies. They're probably not the best, like, father-son type of movie about fathers and sons, but it's just movies like dads watch. It's my opinion. I mean, I haven't really seen a video about that, so I thought I'd put that together. So, to all you dads out there, past and present, dads to be, just I salute you. I'm a father of two, and I got pretty cool boys, and hopefully one day they'll be great fathers. And I'll supply the movies, that's for sure. So, till next time, guys, I'm Mike. Watch great films. Watch those movies. That's your assignment. Watch those movies and comment on which one you like the best. And till next time, I'm Mike, and I'll see you later. In all fairness, you must admit that the accused